The recent request from the Trump administration's Election Integrity Commission asking all 50 states to submit voter data going back to 2006 has met various levels of resistance throughout the country. Colorado Secretary of State Wayne Williams announced that he will adhere to the request as much as is allowed under Colorado law. Colorado's Legislative Black Caucus sent a formal letter to Williams asking that he not give into the public records request, saying that it is another form of voter suppression. Patty, we've seen explosive reaction really from both sides of the aisle regarding this request, even here in Colorado, which is only going to adhere to existing Colorado law. Wayne Williams is not going to go more or less, just what he's required to do. What is your reaction to what we've seen as a reaction to this request?
It's not surprising because people are very, very concerned that their records and their own political viewpoints be held secure. We have to remember that we were supposed to be worried about Russia hacking into our systems and Russia getting access to what we're doing. Now, basically, the Trump administration wants us to hand over all our records. I think a lot of people in Colorado are surprised to find out just how much of this is open records anyway. I mean, as a reporter or a citizen, you can go look up what people are registered on as, you can see if they voted. You can't see who they voted for, but there's a lot of information already available. Wayne Williams has said that's all he will make available, but I understand the outrage. People had no idea, and they do not feel their data is going to be safe in Washington, D.C., much less in Moscow. Full employment for our friend Lynn Bartels over at the Secretary of State's office, though, getting the complaining phone calls.
Between fireworks and issuing questions about this issue, her Twitter feed was very active last week. Michael, as you look at this, from Wayne Williams' announcements, we have seen really a lot of educational efforts, frankly. You seem that he said, hey, there's already a Colorado law that says this is publicly available. Anyone can get this right now. I'm only going to adhere to a law that I love that in his press conference said, I didn't write this law. I'm just in charge of having to fulfill enforcing it. And then also saying that voting history is not how you voted, just if you voted. So looking from all the different areas of the spectrum, from people's reaction to like, oh my gosh, this is my most treasured information that you're handing out, but it's already publicly available, to the fact that some people are saying, well, hey, the request itself went a little bit too far. How do you react?
I mean, I think it's good that this debate's happening, that people are aware of the fact that this is the information that does go out there. But I think it's interesting. I mean, you had basically President Trump come out and say, there's widespread voter fraud, whether you agree or not, and the left basically came out and said, prove it. And he said, okay, I'm going to start a bipartisan commission, and we're going to take publicly available information. And then people, went crazy after that. And so I think, to Wayne Williams has done a good job of getting out there and trying to get this information, saying this is all publicly available. We're not giving them anything that isn't already out there. And so I think the talks of voter suppression are a little bit, overboard. And even in that Black Caucus letter that they sent, they said Wayne Williams should only put out the information that is publicly available. And that's exactly what he's doing. So I think, this is a great discussion to have. Voter turnout is really high in Colorado. Everybody likes that. And this commission, though, should get no more or no less information than what is publicly available.
Nick, it seemed, I guess, appropriate during a July 4th weekend that everyone is talking about democracy and the foundations and things that are in our laws that maybe people don't realize are actually publicly available, already state law. So you have one reaction to this is voter suppression that might impact even folks on immigration issues, to this is already publicly available, there isn't really anything to worry about. How does it finally end up?
I don't know how it finally ends up, but I do think that there are two conflicting issues here. One is this deeply rooted fear of federal overreach coming from a lot of secretaries of state, from a lot of governors, from a lot of groups. And I think that there is a transparency issue, and I think you saw a lot of journalists come out and defend Wayne Williams, saying we don't want, the reason this law exists is because we don't want a bureaucrat making a decision on what information is released and what isn't. We have laws that govern this, and that's really, really, really important. It's at the state level. This is state level information, and we need to allow the process to work. If we don't like the law, we need to change it. But I've used this law in my own reporting, and it's helpful.
John, you're also a reporter. When you look at this and people's reaction to publicly available data, but serious concerns from the Colorado's Legislative Black Caucus saying this can lead to voter suppression, where are you at on this?
Well, you know, this is dangerous. Giving up voter information to the federal government, I think, is dangerous. One of the biggest things about the election process in America is that it goes all the way down to the grassroots level. Bottom line on this, to me, is this will give the government the information on when you voted, which kinds of elections you vote in, whether they're the general or the primaries. It will also let them know where they should place voting machines. If you have a precinct that votes very heavily in the general elections, we'll put fewer voting machines there, and we'll cause lines, and we can conflict the election process any way we want to. I think it's a dangerous, slippery slope that the government is putting states in around the country.